Well, what is up, guys? Welcome back to the Bass Blaster Audio Tech YouTube channel. And in this video, we have something that's, yet again, not audio related at all whatsoever. Okay, I could readjust the camera a bit. Here we have my mini fridge. Up until about 2 weeks ago, has been plugged in and running non-stop for about a year and a half. What happened is, well, about 2 weeks ago, it was late at night, I was fooling around on the computer, had the stack of stereo gear on, playing at a little bit louder than I should have been, and I started getting the very distinctive smell of burning silicon. So the first thing I do is I pull the power plug for the stereo stack, thinking it was it, but it wasn't. And the smell was getting worse and worse. So for about 5 minutes, I kept looking around the room like, did the computer fry? Did the power supply and these LED bulbs blow? I started smelling all the stereo gear and it wasn't it. And I just happened to pick this up and I realized the fan wasn't spinning. And so I looked on the back and the light was out. So when you have it on cold, you have a green light. And when you have it on hot, why the hell does the fridge have a hot mode? It's a red light. I don't know if this is related to it, but this switch is now suddenly very hard to turn. However, if you smell this, either in the air vents, what is this? It sucks in air here and blows it out the sides. This uses one of those thermo pad things. I don't remember what they're called, but you put a current through them and it'll either get hot or cold. That's what this uses. Down here is just a basic switch mode supply, but you can also plug it into a vehicle and use it on 12 volts. I never thought of that. If it quit working on AC, would it work on DC? I didn't think I'd ever see this thing again, but nope, here it is. Just a pretty standard cigarette lighter plug for a car, right? I'm gonna grab some alligator clips, and I'll plug this into my supply. This poor 22 gauge wire on my power supply sure takes quite a beating. Power on. Right, so I'm going to kill one of these lights so we could see the lights on this better. Then I'm going to flip it to cold, which is, you know, where I use a refrigerator. Nothing. We'll flip it over to hot. Alright, so our light has not come on, but our fan has. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this around, I'm going to feel if it's getting hot. As you can see, wow, that's overexposed. Those 4 bolts, that's where the little pad thingy is. I think it is warming up, but I'll wait a minute. I wonder if I can use my infrared thermometer on this. It might be too reflective too. Yeah, it's way too reflective. That's the downside with infrared thermometers. If something is shiny, you can't read it. I don't think it's no, I don't think it's warming up at all, actually. But our fan is spinning. I don't know if you can hear it or not. I'm gonna try going back. Oh! Okay, I'm gonna hold this in. Switch is no good. I'm gonna hold this down for a little bit. Like, I'm just going to note, when that light comes on, I can hear my power supply get a little louder. She's definitely drawing current. What's this thing draw at 12 volts? 2.7 amps when it's set to hot, 3.3 on cold. Let's see if this is warmed up. Yes, it has. Yes, sir. All right, let's try to flip it back to cold. Cold does nothing at all. Back to hot. Fan comes on, but we have to push on it. Alright, I'm going to flip my supply off and hold this so it discharges. Okay. Well, I guess now we'll take it apart. Now, I'm gonna try to get on AC and see if it behaves the same. Okay, if it blows up my face, it'll be on video. Okay, let's flip back to cold. Nothing. And hot. Same as it did before. Right. So is it a power supply fault or a control? I'm gonna say it's a control because the power supply seems to work. Right, so how this thing comes apart I think is pretty straightforward. 3 screws on each side, and I think the back just kind of pulls off. Alright, let's just see if it... Oh, well, that was easy. Wow, that is a dirty heat sink. Wow, this thing is full of dust. Yeah. I see what has failed. Holy... Let me pop this off the tripod and we'll get a closer look inside this thing. Alright, amazing handheld time. Here is our heatsink. Completely caked with shit. These 2 screws are completely rusted. How? Here's our little power supply. And we'll take a closer look at that. It looks fine though. Here's our fan. I'll of course blow all this out before I put it back together. It's our fan. 12 volts, 1.6 watts. Do the math for the current. Here's our switchboard. Can you find the issue? I think our switch has completely blown. I don't know how a switch blows. Did something short and send a fuckload of current through it or what? Oh, I gotta take that rear panel off because there's screws hidden behind it. This little sticker thingy. Alright, let's head back on the tripod. I want to look at that power supply later. Fuck it. I can't find my tweezers, so I guess I'll just go in rough with the good old reliable Radio Shack screwdrivers. This sticker's not even held on very well. Neither is the back of this. Get around the lights. Come on. Yes, there we go. I just realized these screws are actually just for these power connectors. The board itself is just these 2 on the switch. What the hell? This one's just spinning endlessly. Is this screw stripped? I'll try to stick a screwdriver in here and push the screw out because I'm pretty sure, I think it's stripped. I don't know how the fuck they managed that one at the factory. This just made this so much more difficult. It's been about 25 minutes and I finally got this screw coming out. I'll show you closer, but I had to get the metal tab that's on the switch. Pry a screwdriver under it and bend the whole end upwards just to get one of the threads on the screw to bite. And now it's actually coming out. It'll be hard to see because I gotta zoom in all the way. There at the head, the threads are completely stripped smooth. How did they pull that one off? Oh, okay. I flipped it on its side and unscrewed the power supply just so I could, lay it down. Now, we can get a closer look at this wonderful work of art. What we can see here in this not very good angle, here, let me go ahead and get something metal to poke around at a probably still charged up power supply. Nope. But we can see our switch here as completely blown out. This is, of course, where you flip it for cold, and I haven't looked at the whole circuit yet, but I'm not entirely sure how that works. I think this switch is actually, like, the main AC. Because I don't see why it would have done that. No, I don't think it is the main AC, because the AC comes in here. Yeah, and goes into our power supply module right here. I see a DIP 8 package that's not put all the way down. I don't see any bulging capacitors. Oh, I'm seeing bits of copper. Did it like blow a whole trace out? Well, it burnt the pin completely off of that switch. Where did my tweezers go? Fuck it. Oh, just put dust everywhere. Look at that. Remolted solder with the switch pin still in it. Maybe it got wet because these two screws in the back of the heatsink are rusted. In the bottom of the case, you can kind of see this, which looks like it was wet. This is possible there was a bunch of condensation buildup on this. It dripped down and shorted out our switch. And of course caused the big, I was about to say boom, but there was no boom. It was just sudden smell of burning electronics. So I was about to say, maybe the switch is still good and I could just, run a bodge wire and call it done, but I don't think so. This spot of the board is very well charred. Ugh. This poor refrigerator, man. Not only did it obliterate that trace, but I think it actually started to burn through the board. 6 amp, 125 volt, 3 amp, 250 volt. I just realized the last 3 minutes of what I was saying I was not recording, so I'm just going to handheld it and quickly say what I was talking about. The switch is definitely broke because I pushed on the pin and it just fell through. I've been scraping away at this part of the board with the screwdriver, and it's, well, it's going to be hard to show, but focus. It's gone. It burnt all the way through this part of the board. So, I got my soldering iron turned on, warming up. I'm going to remove this switch. We're going to look at the other side of the board and maybe pull the switch apart. Oh, yeah. Oh, boy. Jesus Christ. Switch is completely gone. Look at that. And that hole is blown all the way through it. What caused that? Okay, so, I unscrewed, well, can't see it at all. I unscrewed the fan from this just so I'd have a little bit more room to fool around. The power supply, there's not really much to say. I mean, it looks good. It's just like a normal switch mode supply. We have an optocoupler, a couple switching FETs. I don't really feel like going through this. I'm sure it's fine. Although it is fused. I do see a model number, and I am going to Google that. CP1240. Alright. So you type in CP1240 into Google. I'll show you guys this later. Your first result is a jackhammer, but then you go down, you then have power adapter, more jackhammer parts, then we go back to AC adapters. So if you type in CP1240 into Google Images, you get this. And so it looks like they got just a standard supply, like a normal power brick, took the guts out, and just used that. All the specs I'm seeing is saying it's a 12 volt 4 amp, which sounds about right because it's spec to draw 3.3. So what I'm going to try to do next is we're going to try to take the switch apart. You have 4 metal little teeth things that are bent over. Just bend them up and it'll come off. Since this is a mains rated switch, it's of course built a little beefier than you would expect it to, but it'll still come up. Ow. Ow again, god damn it. Fuck off. Fuck that, give me a damn screwdriver. God, fuck me! Ow. I can smell this switch. Or it's the board. Just that smell of... Jesus Christ, I just stuck out to my nose and took a whiff. That was a bad idea. Okay, the corner of the board just broke. Yeah. Oh, we just lost something else out of it. Alright, so how these switches work, these are your contacts. When you move the switch, you move these little sliders around. Well, you see, this one is all burnt because, well, it would have been over here when it's set to cold, and that this is, of course, where our little explosion happened. See, this side is completely unaffected. So if I could replace this switch and fix the hole in the switchboard, this thing will work fine because the power supply is perfectly functioning. The thermopad, whatever it's actually called, it's perfectly functioning. See, here's the let me go back. And see how we're missing that whole part of that track? Let me move this out. This little tooth there, it's missing there. Yeah, it's right here. Like, it completely just blew it to smithereens. I don't think that was no 12 volts right there. I think that might have been AC switch. I don't know. And it also melted the plastic on the switch. Oh, okay. Yeah, here's our casing. You see how I had to bend it up to get the screw to bite on it. What I'm working on now is I'm going to disassemble this so I can get the... Never mind, because that screw is so rusted it just stripped out. What I was going to say is I'm going to completely take this apart. I'm going to clean this case. Actually, I think these screws can stay. There's 4 screws on the inside that you may remember from earlier. And I think those hold on the thermal pad thingy. I don't think I want to take this end of the heatsink off. Oh, this is... Oh, there, yes, that works. So I'm going to take out these 4 screws. It's all the way here in the back. Holy fuck, they're in tight. Alright. Screws want to play rough? We can play rough too. That's what I thought. The screws are in so tight the washers have actually molded themselves to this plastic. I don't know how you can see, but on the inside of this we have this okay, you like can't see where it changes colors. This is just plastic. However, this here is kind of like a real soft... I describe it as a gel that's been hardened. This is extremely thermally conductive, which is what the pad thing is attached to. I'm gonna blame you, I can't remember the actual technical name of those things. You can get them on eBay for like $3-4. Oh no, I just got thermal goop all over my desk, damn it. Whoa, yeah, I think this thing's definitely been wet. This is the little cubby hole where that thing sat. Look at this. Condensation from the thing itself. I don't know the name. That makes sense. We do have this rather stiff foam seal around here. Tasty. Let's take a closer look at this guy. Looking at this thing closer, you can kind of see our little... I could get a little bit closer. You can kind of see our little chip thingy in there. We have this big block of aluminum. I don't know what it's for, but there's a temperature sensor attached to it. This is a very nice heatsink, but I do think it was wet because our temperature sensor is rusted on both sides of the screws. Of course, the bolts that go through it are completely rusted. So yeah, I think condensation may have ran down this wire, followed down the board, and made its way into the switch. That has to be the greatest design of a refrigerator I think I've ever seen in my life. I don't think I'm going to try to repair this because it's rusted, it's been wet. It'll probably do it again. Well, it is 1:37 in the morning right now. I'm going to call this video quit for now. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow and do some more snooping around, but for now, I am going to get this cleaned up off my desk and clean up the plastic case because I don't want those kind of dust bunnies in my room. Oh, and I gotta blow out the fan too. So, if this is the end of the video, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If I end up adding something to the end of this video, then I guess I'll awkwardly just splice it in here. Yep, awkwardly spliced in end of video. It's the next day. I've decided I'm not going to fix it because if it died from condensation, it'll probably happen again. So these are the parts that I'm keeping. The cooling fan, our 12 volt 4 amp power supply, this DC switch, the I keep forgetting the name for these things, these thermo pads, whatever. I looked up the name on here. It's a 12 volt 2 amp, so 24 watt. Our heat sink, and this block of aluminum with the temperature sensor. And just for shits and gigs, I'm going to keep the vaporized board. I'll do something with it. Yeah, the rest of this, like the rusty screws, the plastic case, the slidey bit to the switch, that's all going to get thrown out. So, I'm not going to repeat what I said in the clip before this, but I will say, I'll see you guys in my next video.